Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and MBs, welcome back to the Smooth Brain Society. I wanted to just announce that we're doing something pretty cool for the next few episodes and hopefully in the long term because we have partnered up with the British Neuroscience Association and the Brain Charity and Liverpool Neuroscience Group for some upcoming events. And also, more importantly, we have Bethany Facer, who has joined the Smooth Brain Society team and is hopefully going to be on in a semi permanent position, co-hosting a lot more episodes. She was on as a guest a while ago, but yeah, Beth, welcome to the Smooth Brain
Much to
Society.
hear for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Bethany Facer. I came on before. I'm a final year PhD student looking at Parkinson's disease, and I'm also the student and early career representative for the British Neuroscience Association. So, what a time to join!
Yeah, exciting. So, could you tell us a little bit about sort of the British Neuroscience Association and the Brain Charity and all the other organizations and what you guys do?
Of course. So, I'll start with the British Neuroscience Association. So, it is the largest organisation dedicated to connecting and supporting people in neuroscience, from researchers to clinicians to students and industry professionals and all those who fall in between. It's got over 3,000 members, and they're basically all about making neuroscience more visible, inclusive, and collaborative. But there's three main principles that they focus on, and that's informing, connecting, and influencing. So we want to inform the public and policymakers about neuroscience and why it matters, connecting people across all areas of the field, whether it's lab research, clinical work, or industry, and influencing decisions at national and international levels to make sure neuroscience has a seat at the table, shall we say. So this and the connection with that is at the end of April, the British Neuroscience Association are coming to Liverpool for their once every 2-year festival. And we have a whole host of fantastic speakers. So if you haven't got your tickets, do. And even if you don't have tickets or you're not a neuroscientist, there is loads of events for the public as well.
And just to add to that, we'll be interviewing a few guests who are speaking at the British Neuroscience Festival
Yes.
in the next couple of weeks, and then after that as well as it goes on through the years. So that's probably building up hype in the next couple of years. So if people aren't around, it's a bit too late to come to this one. You guys can come to the next one and listen. Yeah,
Yeah,
for the next couple of
absolutely.
years.
Yeah. So as well as the speakers, we've got a couple of speakers we're interviewing. We also have for the kind of the wider public something called Bring Your Own Brain, which is ran by Dr. Susanna Walker from LJMU, Liverpool John Moores University. This is where we're bringing lots of activities to the public for public interest. So this is things from comedy nights, neuro nights, what is blindness, a world unseen, where people can kind of experience what and kind of understand what people who are blind go through. And then we've got Remember Me, Memory in the Brain, which is about dementia and aging. And this is really to engage the public in neuroscience. So we know that we can't, as you know, as neuroscientists, it's so important that the public understand what we're doing and why we do it. So, like for the wider understanding.
Oh, awesome. Just a reminder for people that both myself and Bethany will be performing at the comedy nights as well on the 24th. So you have 2 weeks from the day of the episode releasing to go get tickets for that if you're around the Liverpool area, hopefully, or around England. I'm traveling from Glasgow, so I hope people can travel
Oh
from
wow!
around the UK. But yeah, awesome. And Dorothy joined us. So people, the very first episode for the BNA, we're going to be talking to Dr. Dorothy Tse from Edge Hill University. Her research focuses on neurobiology of memory, so with a particular focus on understanding how the brain processes and retains new information. And she also collaborates with a variety of patient and public involvement groups and charities to promote healthy aging and brain health, and works with the British Neuroscience Association. So thank you, Dorothy, for coming on, and welcome to the Smooth Brain Society.
Hi, nice to see you all.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, so very first question, I guess, because I gave a little introduction of you, but if you could to elaborate a little bit more into the work you do and your role with the British Neuroscience Association, please?
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's wonderful to see you all. So my name is Dorothy. I'm a cognitive neuroscientist, and I'm also a reader at Tse University. I lead a research lab that investigates memory, learning, and also healthy aging. So my work focuses on how different factors affect memory and information seeking. The factors include prior knowledge and also novelty and curiosity. So I'm really interested on how prior knowledge and novelty shape what we remember, and also how these processes, change across lifespan. And I'm also particularly interested in developing behavioral tools that could bridge animal work and also to human memory research. That especially, translating the insight into dementia and also age-related cognitive decline, because I think that is important, to have both experiments like human working with human and also with animals. So this translational aspect is really important to my lab. And in terms of working with the British Neuroscience Association, it's great because I also, as the co-chair of the BNA 2025 Festival of the Scientific Program, and we're really excited because it's going to take place in Liverpool very soon, and it's a really unique conference that brings together researchers, clinicians, people with lived experience, and also different charities and organizations, also industrial professional and the public to explore the latest advances in brain science. So we're really excited about that.
Great. What's been your favorite part about organizing it, Dorothy?
Oh, that's so many. Yes. I think there are different things that I really like. I think first of all is that it's really good to work with the BNA executive team. So they are really amazing, from Louise and Laura and everyone in the BNA executive team, and also working with the BNA the program organizers, like the committee. So it's been great. So everyone is involved, and from choosing who's the plenary, to looking into the symposium, judging the posters and everything. So it's really great. And I think one thing I really like is also giving opportunities for earlier career researchers in the conference. So it's not just focusing on, what is the latest neuroscience research, what is the hot topic. It's also giving earlier career research chances, to shine too. For example, with this symposium, what we asked is that the co-chair need to be at least one of the earlier career researchers, so from speakers and also co-chairs. So I think this is a really good thing, to see in a conference that you're providing, we're providing opportunities, for earlier career researchers. Yeah.
Oh, that's really exciting, and it's so important that we inspire the young as the old have.
Yeah.
Is there any particular plenary that you're particularly excited for, or could you not possibly say?
Yeah, that's so many, and it's also I think it's also depends on the topics that you're interested, because we came across with different topics, and we're hoping to give the breadth and depth, let us say, because as this is a really big conference, right? So we wanted to cover, from aging, to neurodegenerative, and also as personally, I really like cognitive behavior. So we also wanted to make sure that we've got behaviors symposium and also poster there. So I think it's a flavor of different topics. Yeah.
No, well, that's the breadth of topics, and hopefully we can get people on to talk about each of the topics a little bit as we go forward. Okay, let's focus on your work for a little bit. So you said two things. You spoke about dementia and you spoke about healthy aging. Could you please, for me, because I have no idea, how do these link into memory? Because you said you were working on memory. Could you sort of explain what dementia is, and then
Yeah, sure. So I think maybe I'll give it a little bit of background of what I was doing previously and what currently I'm doing. How does that link together with different topics from memory, healthy aging to dementia? So I did my PhD and postdocs at University of Edinburgh. So back then I already really interested in looking into the neurobiology of memory. So using different models, to look into what's happening in the brain and how does that link to memory. And I'm also really interested in the behavior of it. So what previously I used is a behavioral paradigm. So imagine like you're exploring a new city, right? Okay, so am I understanding you from Glasgow? Yeah. So Glasgow and Edinburgh is quite close. So let's just say you have a really good map of Glasgow, right? And then perhaps Bethany have a really good map of like Liverpool. So you have a really good prior knowledge of what's going on. And let's just say maybe I'll tell you there's a new exciting like Japanese restaurant open in Glasgow. You may remember this information really quickly because you have a really good prior knowledge. However, if I'm new to Glasgow, if you tell me that, there's like something like really exciting open, I may not remember this information because I don't have like a really good like a memory or prior knowledge of that. So I'm really interested in looking into what makes memory last. So what factors contribute that? So that's a like important element for me. So that is what I've been doing. But since I set up my lab in Liverpool, I'm expanding, using different models too. So in addition to the animal models, I'm working with different communities and looking into how does that impact like human for this. So and again I'm really interested in how does these factors affect like memory, because the reason I'm really interested in is because you probably heard of like when people develop Alzheimer's or having dementia, and especially with Alzheimer's, maybe one of the first symptoms is that they have difficulties in remember their way home. So maybe they go for a run and then they forgot, oh, where am I? Why am I here? So like one of their early symptoms is like you have this sudden memory lost, and also with linked with spatial navigations, like couldn't find their way home. So this is why I'm also really interested in how does that link with memory, to Alzheimer's disease. Yeah. And in terms of how does that link to like healthy aging and in general, because I would like to promote brain health in general, so that like if we live having like a healthy life, that hopefully it will slow down the decline with the cognitive decline. Yeah. So that is how like these elements like memory, healthy aging, and also dementia. Yeah.
I have a personal anecdote of this. So my grandmother's sister, she unfortunately passed away a year ago, but she had Alzheimer's, and there's this now funny story in my mind of a few years ago. She was at the hospital, and while my aunt went to pay the hospital bill in India, she, this elderly woman gets up, goes outside, grabs a taxi, and leaves. And we all know at this point in time that she has Alzheimer's, and everybody's worried where she is.
Yeah.
And instead of going to where she lives now, she went to her old childhood home because she had a memory of that.
Yeah.
And I guess that links very well into what you were saying about having a map or idea of places you're familiar with. And then I think they had moved to the new house only 3 or 4 years ago. And although she developed Alzheimer's after, she didn't remember that address.
Yeah, and I hear you, and a lot of people have really vivid memory of the childhood. For example, when I work with different patients and also carers, and when you start to play music, right, like it's like from their childhood, they can sing like beautifully and remember all the lyrics. However, if you ask them, well, what did you have for lunch like recently, they would not remember anything like recent memory. However, they remember like where I lived like previously, like childhood, and also like songs, and also books, and also language too. So if they spoke like different languages when in this childhood, they remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's super interesting. I have a question then, because is it also this importance or salience of the memory? So, for example, I probably don't remember my lunch from 4 days ago, but I definitely remember the songs I used to sing as a kid.
Yeah, like there are different factors of affecting like memory. So one of them was about like prior knowledge, so what we already know, right? And the other, that there's so many factors. For example, like one is like novelty, right? So right now we're having a conversation, and you two may not remember what I'm saying. It depends on the context, right? Like maybe by, I don't know, tomorrow, because there's a lot of information here, right? However, suddenly right now at the same time, like maybe somebody not like all of outdoor, and then handed us like really nice coffee or lovely like brownies, and you may remember this moment better, and hence you may remember. Well, actually, Dorothy's talk about like novelty, right? So because of this novelty, surprising elements, hence you may remember this moment better. So there are like different factors affect how we remember things. So we may remember maybe our first date, or like maybe like a birthday party that really good for us. So there are lots of like factors affecting how we remember things. Yeah, in general. Mm-hmm.
And what parts of the brain are triggered during these novel events?
Yeah, so probably most of people know that it's the hippocampus, right? So the hippocampus is really important, like for forming like a short-term memory, and also there are different studies to talk about how does that link with like long-term memory. The other brain areas like involved is also like prefrontal cortex, especially making like executive decision. Okay, so when we talk about maybe how does prior knowledge influence like information seeking and memory, and there are lots of studies showing that prefrontal cortex and hippocampus like are involved, and especially if you wanted to incorporate new information into prior knowledge, and you have this really rapid memory consolidation, so both like hippocampus and prefrontal cortex are involved. Yeah.
And so that's for making new memories, but I assume that older memories are ones which have remained. Are they stored in a different place?
Yeah, this is a really interesting question. I think there are still a lot of research ongoing to look into this. So, like with usually there is a very standard memory consolidation theory is looking into that when you like have new memories, like hippocampus is involved, but then by time goes by, like cortical regions is more important because, like we say, store the memory, and then the role of hippocampus diminish. However, there's also study like which is showing that multiple trace theory, which is about like both hippocampus and cortical areas are involved, like even with remote memory. So there are different theories, and I think neuroscientists still investigating, what's going on. And I think what I would like to say, one thing is that which I found is really interesting, and when I teach students or like having seminars with the public, they also like to ask me, is that once you form a memory, is that always fixed? Is that like stationary? Is that you can't change it? And what do you both think about this? Like to say, if you once a memory is formed, do you think this memory stays all the time?
I am convinced it changes.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I was back at university, we got told the story about cultural changes. When we hear a story from one culture, we bring it over to how we would remember it. So maybe, I don't know, let's say they're talking about talking about drinking in Japan, and they talked about sake. We might remember it as wine. These memories be kind of like overrided with like how we would perceive it rather than how that culture would perceive it. So yeah, I'm sure they can check like that. That's how I view it as like a
so I think both of you are right on that sense, is that like sometimes it's not like once this memory form is not like it's fixed, it's not like stationary, it's quite plastic, what we say. Like sometimes when we relive it, it may change a little bit, and also depends on the context, right? Like so it basically is saying that it's the ability to change for the memory. Yes.
Yeah, I can see one place where this probably plays a big role is in the criminal justice system, right? With witnesses, if your memory changes. I remember Dr. Faye Skelton from Edinburgh Napier University came on, I think 2 years ago now, and she was speaking about memories and eyewitness testimony causing problems because of it changing, and like that, and that sort of blew my mind back then. That's also another reason why I remembered that. Yes, I'm pretty sure that memory changes. It's not static.
And wasn't it that language used as well? So when they were talking about when they were driving a car and it hit into somebody, it was hit, smashed, tapped, bumped, and then they would say how fast was the car going, and some people would be like, tapped 15 miles per hour, smashed 30 miles per hour. And it was just that very change in language seemed to like alter the way that they viewed it.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you, because I think, Bethany, you were referring to the Loftus study, like Elizabeth, like, yes, it's really a classic study. And I think that's also affects on the eyewitnesses, like especially with the police, like how do you ask like the witnesses questions? So it's referring to both of your points, like the keywords that you're asking is really important. So like how do you prime? You shouldn't prime the witnesses, right? Yeah. So I think these are all things that police is also looking into this. What is the good way, not to influence the witnesses, but actually they actually say what they see. Yeah, so I think that's like a lot of application you can see. Yeah, and I found that really interesting too, because now I am at the Department of Psychology. So with my colleagues, they have different disciplinary, but one of them is like forensic and also criminal. So it's also really good to see that how this, memory applies to, to different disciplinary. Yes. Yeah.
So, what is the reason for this, though? As a neurobiologist, why would our memory change over time?
I think this is a really big question, and I think that's like we're still like trying to understand why. I think what for me, like personally, I'm really interested in to look into how these factors affect each other, because like it could be with emotion. So sometimes when we're really happy or when we're really sad, we may remember this event like very vividly in our own version. Yeah, so I think this is something a lot of different factors could affect how this that event goes and how this what's in your mind. Yeah, so I think this is like one thing is emotion, and the other, there are different all sorts of factors like novelty and also curiosity. So I think these goes like hand in hand, like with if something that you're really interested in, you may want to find out more, and then genuinely you're interested in that. And also there are lots of individual differences, because something that interests you both may not be interested in me. So I think there's a lot of individual like factors there too. Yeah. So this is a big question. It's a really amazing question that I think a lot of neuroscientists are still looking into this, like why? Yeah.
Do you think that novelty can help preserve memory, or do you think that it can help people with dementia? Does it help them regain their memory a little bit or help them remember things?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I do think that novelty is a really important factor, and that is also why I'm looking into the relationship of novelty and prior knowledge. So if you think about it's like a U shape. So sometimes we remember better when it's a surprise element. So give the example of like someone suddenly come in, they gave us like all coffee at the same time, so like we may remember this better. But it's also at some time that if new information could fit into what we already know. So this is back again, maybe when you learn when we were small, we learned times table, right? So maybe you learn like 2 times table, so that when the teachers like teach you the 4 times table, it makes sense. It's make it easier for you to learn. So you can think about it's like a U shape of like remember things. So sometimes maybe this factor plays like more important role, and then sometimes will be the other. So when we going to have workshops with the public, I think one of the questions I got asked most frequently is that how do I remember better? Like how do I remember things better, right? So I think one of the things like you probably heard of a lot is like practice make progress, I would say, rather than perfect. So if I think it's also when you associate things more and it makes sense to you, then it can help you to remember things better. So I think that this is association is really important. And the other important element is that with like novelty and curiosity is this is something you genuinely interested in, and then it's easier to absorb. Yeah.
What about this? This just came to me. Is there anything of memory where you don't remember learning something, but you have learned it? Is that memory sort of different? Uh, so for example, I remember watching this documentary ages ago where somebody had, I don't know, was it a brain injury of some sort? But they remembered certain things with like if you gave them a puzzle to do, they do it faster each time, but they had no memory of doing the
Mm.
puzzle before, or things like that. So is that an actual phenomenon, or was that just a random documentary I saw once?
I think like, if I'm trying to understand, you may remember, is that a document is about HM? Do you remember?
I don't know. You need to help me.
Yes.
You're the scientist
So
here.
there's a really one really famous like case studies like, and this patient is called HM, and he previously has like an epilepsy, and a doctor would like to do the surgery to help, to stop this epilepsy. However, back then with the techniques is actually removed his hippocampus, so damaged his hippocampus, and then afterwards he is suffering like a very short-term memory. So let's just say we're having a conversation, he will not be able to remember that we have this conversation. So every few minutes he will ask the same question, so he didn't manage to, he couldn't like hold a conversation. However, what I think you were suggesting is that with the working memory, so there is a mirror trace like test. Okay, so basically you got like a mirror, and then you got to look into the mirror and trace the star. Okay, so in the very beginning, he failed this test, so he didn't do it really good. However, after day, like his actual working memory skills improved. However, if you asked him, he couldn't remember that like he was trained with this test. So I think that just now when you're mentioning this, it makes me think of this example. I wasn't sure is that the exact like documentary that you were watching, but the idea is that he managed to perform it. Okay, however, he had no memories of remember learning this like at all. But you can show like with the data that's like he actually traced like the stuff really quickly. He actually knew, he actually acquired the skills. However, because of like he didn't have the hippocampus, so he couldn't remember that actually training actually happened. Yeah.
So does that mean you don't need the hippocampus to learn certain
You
things?
still like needed hippocampus to acquire new information. I think is that with that working memory task is like he able to like doing this more by procedure like memory. He's actually learned that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But with episodic memory, which is when we talk about like events happens, you do require the hippocampus like for the episodic memory. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was it did he have a lesion on both sides of his hippocampus, or was it just
Yes, like
the
both.
one?
Yes, yeah.
Both.
Like it's a medial temporal lobe, I would say,
Yeah.
general. Yeah, which with the medial temporal lobe, like hippocampus is in it. Yeah, it's a really famous case.
Mhm.
You probably like can have a look at it online. Yes, it's a very important case in neuroscience. Like yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I taught about it a couple of months ago, and when I learned about it quite a while ago, I was like, God, is he really unhappy? And he kind of basically he was like, I'm not unhappy.
Mm.
I kind of know what's going on, but if I feel like if I can help people, stop this from
Mhm.
happening again, then I'm here to do that. Like I'm happy to do so.
Yeah.
So I don't think he kind of like had a very vague knowledge something was wrong, and he was happy to help, but apparently he was just quite happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, and I think he got a really good like remote memory, like things from childhood that he could remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I want to take a step forward and ask you about how you actually do this research. So, you did mention some tests. I always am intrigued when people bring all these big machines, and I know is a TMS, the one where you zap people in the head for a little bit with magnets, the ones with all the cables come out, the neurosciencey stuff. How do you do your research when you're talking about memory research? I know you spoke about doing lab work as well, or with animals and interested in translational work. So yeah, what does your lab do?
Yeah, so great questions. Yeah. And yes, and it was like TMS, and I'm thinking of previously you mentioned this like EEG too, but I'll explain it a little bit more. Yeah, so I previously when I was in University of Edinburgh, I did a lot of like animal work, so using behavioral stuff and also doing optogenetics, so basically shining light into different neurons, like to activate or deactivate them, and also calcium imaging, so implant like a mini like microscope into the brain, and while the animal is exploring, like we record what is going on with the calcium like channel. So looking into what's happening in the brain. Like, so this is like very exciting because that gives us tools and opportunities looking into what happened in the brain, and also behavioral wise what's going on. And since I came to Liverpool, I expanded my field because I'm really interested in the translational bits, and I think it's really important that we're able to apply what we learn into like human, because ultimately our goal is to contribute, to human, to improve our brain health and also well-being in general. So that is what I started to work with like different organizations too, because I do think they are really important and also inform us, what they actually want to know. So as a researcher, I feel like sometimes we have our amazing like research questions, like, so we have really unique like fields, and then we build up on, oh, this is like great hypothesis, great research questions. And then I thought that, well, is that what the public actually wants to know? Is this something they really want to find out, or is that only like researchers want to find out? And that is why I started to work with different organizations, because what I'm interested in is like healthy aging in general. So I work with like University of Third Age, so U3A. So they are amazing like network. So they have like hubs throughout the whole UK. So I'm very sure that they have one in Liverpool, and also they have maybe multiples in Glasgow too. So definitely I know that they have one in Edinburgh. So the one that I work with is with U3A Alton and Ormskirk. So that's where we are like with a university. So they are a very vibrant group, and they're retired people, so usually 60 or 65 plus. So, and they really wanted to know the latest research of health and well-being. Yeah. So, and that is why we have this like co-creation idea. So what is that about? So in the very beginning, I will have a consultation like period with them. So they will let us know what kind of research area they would like to know more. So the topics and also research area is that from them. It's not just from us. So of course, I'm really interested in memory and dementia. However, what kind of like memory, what like in the memory and also dementia they would like to know more. So it's driven from the community. And I think this is really important. Because when it's come from them, they will be more interested. And when we have the workshops together, it's very targeted to the communities rather than, I talk about all the mechanisms of like a memory. So it works really well. So we started this program now, it's for 3 years now. So I've got like some funding, and then we have this co-creation like with U3. And it's also forming a really nice professional bond, because whenever that I go to the coffee morning, I feel like positive energy from them, because they are really excited. They were like, okay, so what's going on? What's the new research? Yeah, so we ran workshops, from different topics, from like physical activity. For example, we all know that physical activities, it's good for like across lifespan, right? But what types of activities, how long is that for that target age group? So they would like to know more. So more specific to them. So we've got like physical activity, we've got emotion. So like as you know, from since COVID, a lot of older participants or like older adults, they feel quite isolated. Okay, so after that, how can we help them to form the community better again? Yeah. And also after retirement, some people may feel like the shift of focus is different. So maybe previously, like you focus on your work a lot, right? But now after retirement, then like unless you have a really good hobby already, then like maybe the sense of like the shift will be different. So I think it's like forming this social elements with them is really important. And we also had covered topics like alcohol. Is like alcohol actually good for you or not? Like a glass of like red wine, is that good for you or not? So these are like all topics coming from like the community, and then we invited speakers to talk about it. And I remember one which is I invited Susanna Walker, from like LGMU to talk about the neuroscience about touch, because like when you become older, you probably less of sense of touch. So we've got this like a workshop about theory of it, and then back to back we're also invited a dance lecturer like James, he talk about and also have a practical session about the movement, so like the importance of touch and movement. So they really enjoyed it because you got the neuroscience bit and also got like the practical bit. So yeah, so this is still on, and we really wanted to forming this network, through like different youth rate hubs, and also like with the community, so I think that is like really good that having the communities there, to work with. And just back to your question, so it's like what's now, like working with the communities is great because right now our lab is developing like behavioral studies, like to understanding the neurobiology of memory. So I'm hoping to have this like translational bit, so from what I did with the animals, to translate this to human. So I've got one project going on is using Minecraft, I don't know if you both like Minecraft, so like my students and my team are working with students and also kids previously. So it's using Minecraft like to see how does prior knowledge influence memory and also information seeking. So basically the participant needs to go into the Minecraft world, and then we have a world like that. They basically need to do like spatial navigations. So they have to break the blocks, and then like finding is it like a goal like in the Minecraft. And then we also got another project going on is like a shopping mall. So I don't know if you both like shopping. So the idea is that the participants need to understand this shopping mall, and then they have to find these items. Let's just say if I would like to buy a nice t-shirt, like maybe a white t-shirts that Bethany has, which shop should I go? So the idea is this task is that to see how does prior knowledge helps them to learn things better and quicker. And then could we apply this with like early onset dementia, because this project is also collaborating with Walton Center, a hospital based in Liverpool. Yeah, so the idea is to see, could we develop this behavioral paradigm? So ultimately, could we use this paradigm to help people with any memory problems? Yeah. And I think one more project that is I'm really excited about is a recent project that I collaborate with computer science department, because I really like all this interdisciplinary projects. Yeah, I think working with people in the arts, in the dance, and also working with people in computer science. So this project is also looking into how prior knowledge influence memory, but we've got a more slightly real life setting. So we're divided into two groups. Okay, so we have this setup using VR, so virtual reality. So one of the students, Robert, so he made the actual computer science hub actually. So there are students from computer science know this building very well. Okay, so they now need to go into this virtual reality world, mimicking what happened in the real world, and they got to go and find the items. And the idea is that if you got prior knowledge, will that give you advantage to find these items better, versus then if I never came across into the computer science building, maybe I have the disadvantage. So this is more like a real life settings, and I'm moving towards that direction because I would like to apply things that in a more real life setting, just a pure lab-based setting. Yeah. And what currently I'm using with the tools, with the equipment, is mobile EEG, and that's just the first step that link with the behavioral. And hopefully in the future, maybe I would use fMRI or TMS too. So so we're working towards step by step.
Yeah, very cool.
So yeah, it's very comprehensive.
Yeah, right. Honestly, so many projects, Dorothy. I think I know them all, and then you spring this Minecraft one on me.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a lot of things you're doing is helping memory, but also preventing dementia. And you mentioned ways that you're trying to kind of understand that more in real life, and maybe not so much real life in the lab setting. Can you say, what do you think healthy behaviours we can do day to day to help maybe prevent dementia? Is any in particular that come to mind?
Yeah, I think I think it's like mainly is having like physical activity and also sleep well. Like I think this is like really important that too. Yeah, and also eat well and yeah, and also forming your social connection. I think that's like the social part is really important. Like it's across like lifespan because I think we are all like social like animals. Like yeah, so I do think that's four elements that's like really important. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So social, eat well, sleep well, exercise.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. So, excuse for being late, I've slept well. Excuse for leaving early, need to go to the gym before the rush, need to hang out with friends.
I like
Need to eat
it.
olive oil and pizza. Sounds great.
And I think it's like also having like a positive mindset with things like that's really important too. Yeah. Like yeah. Physical and mental. Yes. Mhm.
Uh, that's incredible. That's a very nice, succinct way to look at it. The other question was, which interested me, was you mentioned something about is wine potentially good for you or bad for you? That question, I was like, why did you pick that example? Is this good? Is it good in any way?
I think this very more this is more like a myth. Yeah, but I personally am not the expert, but we have like a workshop talking about the actual like impact of alcohol, like and also like there was another topic which I found personally found is really interesting, which is called social prescribing. And yeah, there's probably more recently, instead of like prescribing any like medicines, like social prescribing, together, like going out like for a walk in a like more green area is also important. So I think there are lots of different topics that we can cover, for health and well-being. Yes, and this is like I found it's like interesting and through different workshops that I feel like I learn more about like have like a better like health and well-being life. Yeah.
I think after COVID-19, especially like after all the lockdowns, I had to. It was so hard almost to physically try to get social again. Like you had to almost force yourself a little bit to do it, and it's important that when the research is saying you need to do it, gives even more reason to
Yeah, and
make that effort.
exactly. So when you mentioned that, it makes me think of the first visit when I went to U3. So the University of Third Age, the hub that I were there. I remember first of all they welcomed me, and then afterwards they showed me a list of activities they have. And I was so surprised. There are like about maybe 80 to 100 of activities like they've got. And this is, from hill walking, to yoga. And it was amazing that I'm really surprised like how many activities they offer. So this is something that I thought is, and also with the activities, it's not just you can do it by yourself, right? It's like a social connection bond. So I do think that, having this social elements with the communities is really important. Yeah.
That's awesome. I guess for the last little bit, I did want to talk about sort of your public engagement work, because clearly you're doing a lot of public patient involvement work, which is interacting with communities, getting their ideas on what research to do. But then you also mentioned, I remember when you said, do memories change, was a question which you get a lot when you do public engagements. I wanted to spend a little bit of time on that. So what kind of public engagement work do you do, apart from, of course, coming on this podcast?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I worked with a lot of different organizations, and I think that is important. So we've got like workshops. So when I mentioned like working with Youth Ray, we have this program is called Aging Better, like with an active mind. So I think this is really good. It's ongoing for 3 years, and it's like building relationship with like Youth Ray, and also not just like one hub, but like since we started this, like there are different Youth Ray hubs, like from Formby, from Brockdale, like Southport. They're really interested too. So we're hoping to expand this network. So I think this is like good, to have running workshops together. So I think this is one. And then we always have like meetings, so consultation, like meetings with them. So getting, their ideas. And also when we write like research proposal, we also ask them for feedback, because I think it's really important to have their views, on whether this project, is actually benefit for them. So I think this is like a win-win situation. We let them know what is the latest research, and they let us know what actually do they want, because I think ultimately what we want is, to help like the communities, right? I think so. This is just one types of like public engagement. And then the other one, that recently a project that I've been working with another colleague, is a dance lecturer, and that project is called Like Yesterday. Okay, and it's about the memory and movement. So what that project was about is that we asked the participants, okay, to let us know a really vivid like childhood memory. Okay, so we ran a few workshops, like helping them, to find what is a memory that sticks with them. Like usually they talk about childhood like a memory. And I remember one participant, and she told us that when she was small, she really liked to play on swing. However, at the park, usually there's this big, really big boys, and then like in front of her, and she always have to wait for a very long time. So like she had that feeling of, I really want to go to have the swing, but there are a lot of people in front of me, and I'm just like too small. She just had that feeling. So what we did was that we built her a swing like in the art center, so that when she talk about it, she can swim like doing this. So with that project, what we would like to see is that when participants like talk about their memory, like relive the memory, not only verbally they talk about it, they also need to use movement. So that's what like James came from, talk about the dance movement. They need to use like movement to represent this out. So I personally think that this is really interesting. It's like a crossover of neuroscience with arts. And I think that's just for me, one thing is like, as a researcher, this is the joy that, you can like work with different people and then you have different outcome. So it's really, really exciting. So we had our showcase back in December. And one thing that I wasn't expected was that one of the participants was saying that after she came with this event, okay, she really felt transformed in a way that she previously think that university is more like an ivory tower. You say ivory tower, yes. So this far away, public will not get anywhere near it. But she feel really welcome. So after this, workshops and going through like a few workshops, and then she feel really welcome because she thinks that like university actually wanted to work with the community, and that is something I didn't expect that. Like I wasn't like and that makes me really happy of like thinking, maybe my goal is to improve brain health, right? And my goal is to like help people to understand my memory. But this is actually a really good outcome that I never thought of. So I think this is really rewarding to me. Like that somebody thinks, actually, after this, like she would like to interact with more researchers. She's like open to this idea, and she also joined more courses into creative writing, because previously she thought that I know what's going on in my childhood, but what can I do about it? So she said that this project like changed her, and I thought, wow, like this is really unexpected. Let me put it this way. So I think there are like different public engagement activities, and sometimes maybe that is like our goal maybe is to improve brain health, but maybe there are also other positive outcome we never thought of. I think this is really, really amazing. Yes, like this is and also with that movie, so like we filmed that movie, and then it's also going to showcase in one of our BNA festival event. So it's going to happen on the 26th of April. So Bethany is also involved, and that event is called Remember Me. It's basically asking participants to come and share one of their memories. Yeah, so there's lots of like public engagement events going on, and I think they bring like different positive outcomes, and sometimes it's just not what we expected. Yeah.
That's so nice. Imagine it's basically reliving your memories with the project. That sounds so exciting.
It's and people, and we got like a brochure for everyone, and on the brochure it's like a booklet, and then we basically have a picture of the participant and also tell their story. And it's really touching because each of us like have different memories, and I think for this project they feel really valued. Like they feel like they are the movie stars, like they feel valued and they feel important. Like I think it's people putting priorities on them. Yes, I think this is something I I wasn't expected in the beginning, but now when I see it, well, and then especially when they share it to us, I think this is to us this really meaningful. Like
changing of perceptions of people who were originally kind of like, when you say like ivory tower, it's almost upsetting to hear, isn't it? Because we don't want to be like that, but there is in the past, researchers, universities maybe haven't been as friendly as they should have been. So that's very, very pleasing to hear, Dorothy.
Yeah.
I wish it was ivory tower. It's an asbestos tower most of the time.
I think there was a word that I wasn't expected that when she was sharing like in front of the audience. Like
I know I keep talking on about how sometimes research and academia feels very pretentious and it needs to change, and things like this go a long way in doing that. But no, thank you so much. That was awesome. Any final thoughts? Anything which we didn't cover, Dorothy, which you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, so I think maybe Bethany already mentioned previously that about the BNA coming. So I think we are all really excited about it, and I would like to say, with the BNA, is I think it's really good. Like in addition, to the scientific programs, we've got a lot of speakers, and I think it's also with the public engagement events, there are lots going on too. So I think this is like really inclusive. We would like to include like the public like coming. So I think this is something I would like to highlight. It's an organization, it's a festival, showcasing what we have been doing, and it's also would like to leave like more like a legacy, to join forces basically to show like about neuroscience, about brain health in general. So I would like to say that it's really if you have a chance, do join us and then come and like celebrate this like festival with us.
No, awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Dorothy. Beth, any final words from you as well?
Nope, thank you very much, Dorothy. I'm excited for the events this month, and there is, as you say, there is something for everyone, from the neuroscientists to the people who are scared a little bit by science. So please do join.
And thanks for having me. It's really lovely to see you all.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thanks so much, Dorothy.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. All right. And also, especially, thank you everybody for listening. If you can, please do show up to the Neuroscience Festival. If you can't, we will try to put as much content as possible online for you guys to join in and feel like you're a part. So until then, and until the next episode, take care.